Sriram College of Commerce, established in 1926, is the country's most prestigious institution in the field of commerce and economics, which not only provides world-class academic facilities. I'm sorry. Which not only provides world-class academic facilities to its students, but also, I'm sorry, which not only provides academic facilities to its students, but also focuses on a great exposure in co-scholastic activities as well. Women's Development Cell is an active initiative of Sriram College of Commerce, which officially commemorated its journey on 16th October 2015 with the objective to spread the idea of women empowerment and gender equality. We can't deny the reality that, even in the 21st century, the path of success for any woman is filled with more tests and difficulties than for any man. But we, as women, will keep on fighting for a better future. To escalate this longing WDC, SRCC is here with its series Virangana, where we try to interact with amazing women from different walks of life. And following the same idea, we are extremely excited about having an amazing personality with us today in our fifth speaker session. Ma'am Sonal Goyal is an IAS officer who has been dedicated to the service of the nation for more than a decade now. She is presently posted as Special Resident Commissioner, Tripura Bhavan in New Delhi. Having secured an All India rank 13th in Civil Service examination, she has held various significant positions since then. Her excellence is supported by well-established credentials in the field of academics. We feel honored to tell you that she is an alumnus of Sriram College of Commerce and she did her BCom honors from here. She is also in CS from ICSI New Delhi, which augments her expertise in finance and commerce. She is another prestigious institution to prove her academic excellence, Faculty of Law, Delhi University, where she did her LLB, which adds perspective to her jurisprudence profile. She also holds a master's degree in public policy from IGNOU, making it a perfect combination of administration, law, and policy making. She also been featured in the top 25 women transforming India by Niti Aayog, United Nations, and MyGov in September 2016. Ma'am, the way you have been constantly serving the society reminds me of the line that empowered women empower women. We welcome you, ma'am, and we are delighted to have you with us today. It's really a pleasure and honor to host you. Today, ma'am will share her insights on women challenging the stereotypes in all the fields with us. So without further ado, let's begin.
Good afternoon, namaste. Thank you, Chaitanya Krishna. I think I have read it properly, her name. So thank you so much for that very elaborate and generous introduction for me. I really feel delighted to be amongst the students of Sriram College of Commerce, and I am a very proud alumni of this college, and I really feel blessed that I got the opportunity to do my graduation from this prestigious institution all across the world. And today we are here discussing about a theme which is very relevant, in fact, which has been relevant since last many years, since ages before. And even today it remains as much as relevant as it was earlier. So I congratulate the Women Development Cell, SRCC, for organizing such kind of series talks under Virangana. The topic which we are discussing today is women challenging the stereotypes in all fields. So, friends, initially I would be sharing my views in brief, say in around 10-15 minutes, what have been my experience on this issue as an administrator, and then the host can put me some questions, either the questions from the host itself or the audience also. So I'm open to them. When we're talking about women challenging the stereotypes, so India predominantly has been a patriarchal dominated society. So when we are saying this patriarchal domination, this has not only been seen after independence, but I would like to take you back to the early times, even prior to independence. We saw incidents like Sati Pratha. We saw dowry was prevalent at a much higher level, and we saw all kinds of ills in the society which were not accepted as ill, but though those practices, those customs actually reduced the level of a woman to being treated as a thing or a subject, not being treated as a human being. So when there was this custom of a male being allowed to keep two or three wives, in some religion it is still there, but I am talking about the Devdasi system. They would not even marry, and then women were kept without marriage in a family. So Sati Pratha, dowry, and all such kinds of situations which were there, which were reducing the women role of and importance of women in the society. They were very well recognized by the social reformers like Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar ji, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, of course, our father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi ji. So all of them, they highlighted this issue that women need to be treated at par with the male counterpart. And if we are not treating both the wheels at par, then ultimately the nation would not progress. So these kind of voices have been risen all throughout all the back ages, whether it was pre-independence, whether it was after independence. And of course, after independence, there have been so many changes. There have been legislations as part of administration. I can see that there have been so many legislations which are given, even the right to property to a daughter in a Hindu family, so which is indirectly empowering her economically. We are seeing PCP and DT Act, which has been enacted in 1994, which aims to prohibit the sex selection of the fetus. It makes it a offense. It makes it a legal offense. So similarly, Dowry Prohibition Act, Sati Abolition Act, there have been many such legislations which have been enacted, and all of these aim to empower the women. But when we're talking about challenging the stereotypes, so we have so many gender bias notions, we have so many stereotypes which are even today being carried out in the society and which are being taken for granted. So, for example, a woman in general should not be a taxi driver. A woman should not be driving what you say, an auto rickshaw also. But now across all the country, across all the entire country, we are seeing such initiatives which are empowering women. Even yesterday itself, I was reading somewhere that a woman, to support her family, she started riding this auto rickshaw. So this auto rickshaw, initially she faced mockery in society. People used to say that this is the work of a male. Why should a female be driving? But then, slowly and steadily, she proved her mettle, and she could support her family. She could raise her kids better off. Because if a woman is economically independent, I have always believed that if a woman is economically independent, it is much imperative for making her independent. So economic empowerment is very much essential. So when we're talking about today we are seeing so many young, bright girls being excelling in all fields, whether it is science and technology, whether it is administration, politics, or for that matter, the corporate sector, education, sports, any field we see, we can see that women are, girls and women are excelling in all fields. They are challenging the stereotypes, and they are proving their worth in the entire societal ecosystem. And we are also realizing the importance that it is equally important to give education to a girl child as much as it is important to give education to a son. To It is also important to give education to a daughter. So when I'm talking about women challenging the stereotypes, so women need to be given recognition, they need to be given support, they need to be nurtured. Many a times we see that many of the girls, young girls and female, they want to attain something in life. Sometimes they don't have resources, sometimes they don't have family support, sometimes they don't have the orientation only, that how do I achieve, how do I reach that, to up to that level. So it is also important for the society that society also encourages, and society also give support to all such girls, all such young generation. If we see our world, and especially in our country in last 2020, and then of course this year, we all have been facing COVID-19 pandemic. This COVID-19 pandemic has given so many challenges in each one of us lives, but humanity as a whole has faced it with resilience. We have shown that whatever may come, yes, there may be some bits and falls, and we may not be able to cope up 100%. But we as humanity, we have to move forward. And when we're talking about this fight against pandemic, friends, we all would appreciate the role, the support being provided by the medical fraternity, a large part of which is female workforce in the form of doctors, in the form of paramedical staff, nurses, sanitation workers, Anganwadi workers, health workers, even women in administration, women in police, women in all such kind of civil services. So women in all fields have shown that even if there is any such kind of a crisis situation in the country, they would shoulder the responsibility equally. So this has been proved time and again. Now, when we're talking about women rising to the challenges, or women, I mean, moving beyond what is generally supposed from them, we as society also need to create that environment, to create that ecosystem that they are able to excel. So, I mean, I would not delve much into that they have done this, they have done that. We all are appreciative, we all are very much recognizing the achievements being done by the women colleagues. What I want to emphasize more is that what needs to be done, हमें क्या करना चाहिए कि हम ऐसी महिलाओं को, हम ऐसी उन लड़कियों को और encourage करें that they are excelling in all the fields. So first and foremost, very important thing is that we need to provide equal access to education. So when we are talking about education, it is not only the primary education that they are sent to the schools till class 5, or secondary education till class 8. They should be completing at least their graduation, whether it is a distance learning course or whether it is a regular course, because even today in some parts of the country, we don't have, in every town we don't have a college for higher education. So education is very important. If a girl, if a woman is literate, she can manage her family in much better way. She can manage and she can train her kids. Not only that, she can also help the people around her in much better way. So education is very important. What we also need to do is that we need to promote the financial empowerment, economic independence of women. So they are earning on their own. There was a study last year in which it was mentioned that if we are having more women in the economy who are earning, it would lead to a greater rise in the GDP. For in context of my country only, of India only, I'm telling. It was mentioned specifically, if we have more women workforce, we have more women contributing economically, it will lead to the rise in the GDP at much higher pace. The reason being that when a woman is working, she is more oriented towards saving. She is more oriented, she will never be spending any expenditure unnecessarily. She is more interested in saving and utilizing that money more efficiently. Therefore, that financial economic empowerment is also very important. And for that matter, even Government of India and many state governments have started many programs which are empowering the women economically. Whether it is in the rural area, we have NRLM, National Rural Livelihood Mission, which is empowering the rural self-help groups. We also have schemes in which they are providing vocational training to the self-help groups. Even under Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan last year, Honorable Prime Minister Sir had launched, in which they are promoting the indigenous artisans, craftsmen, and much support is being given to the women entrepreneurs. Even you would see that on social media, even Prime Minister and Union Ministers, even officers, they are promoting the things, material, the stuffs being prepared by the local artisans, the local weavers all across the country, and more specifically by the women-led enterprises. So all these things are a very welcome step. And besides that, we also have schemes under the Startup Mission, Startup India, and many other schemes, even at the state government level, Ajivika Mission, and even for training program, we have so many schemes being run by the government. So this is very important. And next very important thing is that not only in the government sector, we also need to promote women in the leadership roles at the corporate sector. So when I'm talking about corporate sector, if we see even today, you would see that in the lower level or in the middle level of the structure at the corporate sector, you can find as percentage more women are there. And when you rise up the ladder, so at the higher level, in the at the more leadership managerial roles, you will find that the percentage is reduced, percentage of women to men, it keeps reducing. So it is important that even the corporate sector companies, they restructure their HR policies, they reframe those rules, and they encourage, because if we have more women in the leadership roles, it will ultimately lead to that organization becoming more gender sensitive, that district becoming more gender sensitive, that gender orientation is there in each and every step which is being taken. There is sensitivity, there is empathy, there is compassion. You All these things are very important for any organization, for any district, for any state, and for the country per se. So it is important to economically empower, it is important for education, it is important that we give them employment opportunities. If not possible, then give them some support through vocational training. And of course, this credit lending and all other kind of mechanisms which are there, they need to be there, they need to be promoted. And friends, my request is that many a times such women, especially in the rural areas or small towns, even they are not aware of what schemes are existing and how they can approach the government. So if you come across any such woman who is talented, who is willing to do, who is hardworking, and who actually needs all such things, so please help her out through contacting the local administration or whatever is the possibility. You please try to do. So this is the part as far as the empowerment is concerned. I would also mention here that still we are not 100% safe society for women. So when we are talking about the women safety, or when we are talking about crime against women, we can see it in all forms. It is sexual abuse or domestic violence at home, sexual abuse or harassment at the workplaces, even almost every 2-3 months we are listening to the incidents like rape and assault of very gruesome nature, which will put the humanity to shame, which will make us think that is this the society which we are living in, and is this a society we want that our future generation should be there. So all such things, even though we have so many legislations, we have the entire police administration which is there to control crime against women. We have women's cells. We have even women police stations in most of the states. They have separate women police stations. I worked in Tripura and Haryana, two states, and in both the states, they have the concept of women police stations besides the normal police stations in the districts. And we have women helpline numbers, we have child helpline numbers. So, all these things are there, but I think more awareness is required, and women need to come forward and report if such incidents are being taken place. If such incidents are there, then they need to report. We should not be hiding, and we should not be sitting silent about this. So what I mean to emphasize here is that women in leadership roles we need to encourage. We need to give them confidence. We need to give them training. If I talk about, for example, civil services, in police services, the percentage of women today is not even 10%. The IPS officers, for the IPS officers, it is not even 10%. For IS officers, it will not be exceeding 20%. And if we see all across services, IAS, IPS, IRS, so it is still between 20 to 25%. So if we are talking about women occupying leadership roles, it is important that we give them opportunity from the very initial stages, and we nurture them. And believe me, from my own experience, I also belong to a middle class family based in Haryana. Myself getting admission in SRCC was a big thing that time. Nobody from my school had ever got admission into Shriram College of Commerce, and then I did CS LLB, and after that I joined civil services. I was the first one to even appear for civil service examination in my family, and things were not easy for me. But if you take the road which is less traveled, if you take the road which is less traveled, you are bound to reach to destinations which the others would not be achieving. So things are not easy, but we need to have our self confidence, and we need to keep doing what we like. We need to keep motivating each other. We need to help out each other. I think that is how our society is interconnecting, and that is the beauty, that we are so much interdependent and interconnected, that this harmony and this harmonious construction in the societal ecosystem, it is existing, and we should be improvising. So there is a lot more which I would like to say, but I think there's time constraint. So I can take few questions, or if the host wants any specific points from my side, I can deliberate upon them. But on this, women challenging the stereotype, I think in all fields, you see any field, it is space, it is science and technology, sports, anywhere you take any field, and you would see women achievers in our country. In the recent, we are going to have Tokyo Olympics in the coming month. So we are seeing so many are women have qualified for appearing in Olympics. I would take the name of Sonam Malik. Sonam Malik is 18-year-old wrestler. She's from Haryana, and she has become the youngest Indian women to qualify for Olympics in wrestling. So 18 years mein she would be having an opportunity to be part of Tokyo Olympics. So if she can do, I mean, this is not a small thing. This needs rigorous training, determination, focus, discipline, and I'm sure she would be getting a medal. बिकॉज इतना डिटर्मिनेशन अगर एक लड़की में, एक बच्ची में अगर शुरू से है, तो देयर इज अ लॉन्ग वे टू गो फॉर हर. सो वी ऑल